How's it going, guys? And welcome to a brand new type of SmackDown review. So, if you didn't know, if you didn't check out the poll, I asked you guys, what would you rather see? Would you rather see a full on SmackDown review? Would you like a nice condensed review where we just talk about the important stuff and not really concentrate on every single little segment going step by step? Because, quite frankly, that's probably why sometimes I feel burnt out on these reviews, because I get tired of the same format, looking at this pad, so this happened, that this, it gets tiresome. So I think it'd be more fun. I feel like I could stretch out a bit more and feel a bit more comfortable, have a little bit more fun with these reviews if I could kind of just, I have notes still, but, if I could do a more abridged version. And so people unanimously, you guys said you seem like you want the reviews. You don't want them to go away, but you want them to be more condensed and more to the point. And I'm actually kind of happy that you guys want that. If that's not what you wanted and you're watching this video, well, this is why I always encourage everybody, and I will say it again because we're here at the beginning of 2022. You should always visit the channel. I put out polls, it's just, if you're a fan of this channel, if you like the content I provide, I would really encourage you, because you all know that YouTube is not good. It's not a good platform. It's not very reliable. It's fun to use. It's entertaining. I spend a lot of my time here doing videos, watching videos, but if you're counting on your favorite content creators content to come to you, you can't always count on it. And you've had numerous popular YouTubers tell you this. And you should really, I always say, I don't understand this, if you really like someone and you haven't heard from them in a while, chances are that YouTube's not showing you their content. It's not coming up in your subscription feed. You're not getting notifications despite clicking the bell. So, as I always ask people to do that, click the bell. I feel like most people probably ignore that shit. So, you don't need to be told to subscribe. You don't need to be told to click a bell, obviously. But, you should go to that person's channel. So this is supposed to be condensed, so let's get on with it. I just wanted to say that, so that there was a poll. And, if you want to still vote in it, if you could turn the tide, maybe next week we'll go back to the old way. But I kind of think, based on the trajectory of the poll, it's not going to go the other way. I think we'll be doing it like this from now on. So what about this show? Obviously, so we got another Usos... another Usos New Day match, and it's a street fight, and we already saw the Miracle on 34th Street fight, and this is a less silly version, but they're still dressed up as in armor and shit, and they do a really crappy super kick into the armor. The Usos win with a 3D through the table. I don't really know how they call it the 1D. I don't know how crazy I am about them taking such a well-known finisher after these guys have been established for so long and use it. Yeah, obviously they're younger than the Dudleys, but what is their move is the splash, right? And sometimes they do the double splash. I don't know how I feel about them kind of hijacking a popular move like this. I mean, and the thing is, this match was I watched the clip of it on YouTube, because I'm not watching this whole match, especially after this long. This was a colossal match that took up most of the show, really, when you think about it. This was the main event. And did we really need to see a match this long, especially when they had a 20-minute opener at day one? No, they did not need to have that. So then we had the Royal Rumble participants were announced. Many people are unhappy that they announced all the participants, a good majority of them, about, what it was, 75% of them were announced. We got about 18 of the competitors. they always used to do this, you know, but they did show like a lot of the past divas are going to be in there. Michelle McCool, surprisingly, Summer Rae. Like, I don't know like who is asking for her, but Kelly came back, is going to be coming back. The Bellas, Lita's going to be in there again. Yeah, I'm happy to see all of them, but it really just kind of shows that they have such like a shit like women's roster with women that just cannot carry this thing on their own. So they always have to fall back on the old divas. You know, oh, I thought we weren't using divas anymore, but for some reason we have to go back to divas. You know, isn't that interesting that we have to, you know, go back to the past because, you know, the future stars can't, you know, and that's not really all their fault. It's the way how they've been presented and all that. But it really just shows, you know, from the past to the present where we are now, the supposed future, that, you know, they still got to go back to the past, even with the women. And you know what was really interesting? They piped in noise because I came across a video where it was a live reaction. Now, I don't want to put the video on here because, you know, of copyright stuff, but you could easily go search it. Somebody had like their camera phone and they recorded when they were making the announcements of these Royal Rumble participants, right? So when they're naming these names, we hear cheers, and I was kind of like listening to the cheers, and the cheers sounded almost identical and at the same volume. And the cheer for like Summer Rae and like the Bellas and Michelle McCool sounded like super loud, and I'm like, you know, I never really remember Michelle McCool being that super popular where they're like, ah, like, and then I watched this live recording, you know, which has not been touched by WWE. It's someone's private video. And these, you know, there was some cheers for like, especially it seemed like Lita, no surprise there, but nothing sounded as loud as like when it was being shown on TV. I mean, they were definitely pumping the noise in there without a doubt. So I thought that was really interesting. I recommend that people go check that out because it is kind of a funny juxtaposition when you look at it. But the big announcement that blew everyone away was Mickie James being in this, because she's currently the Impact Women's Champion, the Impact Knockouts Champion, and people were like, whoa, they didn't expect this. And this right here, I mean, to me, this is more over than anything that Tony Khan has done in AEW with the quote-unquote forbidden door, you know, with Kenny Omega, you know, being Impact Champion and all that jazz. And here comes Mickie James in one of the biggest matches in wrestling history, albeit the women's version of it. But here she is, and she's the Impact Champion. And Pat McAfee actually even says it later on, actually says that she's the current Impact Champion. So that's something right there. That really blew my socks up. I didn't expect to see it, especially after the whole trash bag incident with them sending all her belongings in the trash bag, and every, you know, all the SJWs like, oh my God, you know, but here it is. And, you know, the forbidden door, as they call it, you know, Tony Khan, and the forbidden door has been opened by WWE, and that really it really says something. You know, is that a shot at AEW? Perhaps, in a way, showing that, you know, hey, they could do it too. But, you know, it was interesting. You know, Charlotte's promo, she announces that she's going to be in the Rumble. I'm not sure how many people, you know, this whole thing about always faking out, making like they're talking about something else. It's kind of bland and boring. And, you know, we got Naomi going in a match here against Charlotte. And the thing is, what I got to say about this match, you know, also like the whole formatting of this, where Charlotte's promo is like intertwined with the commercial for the Rumble. I really hate that shit. Like, I really despise when they're like, hey, take a look at what's on the Titantron over here. I'm so sick and tired. They've never used to do that stuff. They used to say, like, roll the footage and show what happened to them last week. If, like, the heel would usually do it. The heel would usually, like, say, like, oh, look at the videotape. Look what happened if they got, like, screwed or something. You know, they'd say, like, oh, play the footage. Or Jericho would say, you know, roll the footage, monkeys, or something like that. You know, never like, hey, here's an advertisement for the Rumble. And, you know, and I get it. Like, Charlotte's kind of making, like, there's going to be some big, massive superstar that we didn't expect, and it's going to be her. But anyway, she has a match against Naomi. Sonya Deville gets involved. And the thing is, like, she keeps on restarting the match. And what she's restarting it on is all these moments that make Naomi not really look too good. Like, one moment, she's going to win by countout, which is like something that the crowd wouldn't even be happy about. So there's like, if she won by like countout, you know, people would find that underwhelming. So the fact that like, she's like, no, you can't win by countout, that kind of makes, you know, Naomi not really look too good, because it's like she's taking away this victory that's not really that satisfying in the end, you know? And then also there's they restarted again because Charlotte won't release the figure 4 leg lock, and Naomi, it kind of gets released from the hold, and she was going to win by disqualification because Sonya Deville says, oh, no, you're not going to win by disqualification. So there's like no rope break or anything like that. So I'm like saying to myself, like, okay, you know, it's one thing like when they would restart a match. Like, I'm thinking, like, I watched this recently on Peacock, like Jericho going over Triple H, and everybody thinks Jericho won the world title, and they're not even sure if like the record books would show it. And, you know, then you have another referee come out and reverse Earl Hebner's decision. Like, that's how you get heat on the heel. Not like this where Naomi's about to get like, you know, a really just lame victory. And then doesn't that kind of make Sonya Deville look like a baby face is what I'm trying to say? Because she's like trying to get an actual finish to the match. I know she's screwing over Naomi, but I kind of see like they're not really seeing the other side of that. Like, it's not really as heelish as they think that it is. Like, if she won by like pinfall and she like messed with the rules or something like that, like saying like, oh no, or whatever, like it would, that would have been something. Figuring out some other way to get that done with the screw job, but I felt like they took the laziest way out. And I appreciate that they're going for a storyline, but I feel like, you know, like this is not really going anywhere. It's not going anyplace. It's like authority figure versus the wrestler for like the 20th time, and they're still trying to figure out, you know, a way to incorporate any sort of magic from Austin McMahon. And they're always failing at it or getting some like lukewarm version of it. I mean, this version of it is absolutely terrible. Anyway, we've got Johnny Knoxville and Sami Zayn. After Zayn's match with Boogs, Knoxville comes out, and I'm happy to see Johnny Knoxville, and he throws Zayn over the top rope to like prove a point, that because Zayn says you're not qualified to be in the Rumble, you know, and you kind of just think like this is like Zayn's opinion, but apparently it's like official, because when Knoxville comes out and tosses Zayn over the top rope, which is totally a spot that they should have saved, you know, for the actual Royal Rumble. You know, like, can you imagine? No one thinks that Knoxville's going to come out exactly. He's unqualified. You know, he's just an MTV guy. Just, you know, just some guy from the movies, and he comes along and tosses over Zayn when, you know, maybe when he's distracted, or maybe he's beating up Knoxville in the corner, and, you know, maybe he like stops to like argue with somebody, you know, or gets distracted, and then maybe Knoxville could then drop over the top, you know, kind of like here. but save it for the Royal Rumble. Now that magical spot we could have had, that memorable moment, is gone, and now it's just been reduced to like a moment on SmackDown. It could have been like a higher elite moment, and you know, it's not. It's the thing is what I'm saying. It's not even in a match where it counts. But apparently here, the ring announcer, he gets on the mic and says, now Knoxville is qualified for the Rumble. Okay, like when did this become a match? Was it what Zayn said? Was that official? Was that like a decree? Until Knoxville actually dumped him over the top rope, that was the qualifier because there was no match that was announced. I'm like, what? I don't know. I think that was like a really missed opportunity. I'm going to admit that I laughed at the Madcap Moss segment with Baron Corbin. That to me was actually, I thought it was funny. Was it stupid as hell? Was it a moment that will go down in the history of professional wrestling and WWE and sports entertainment? No, it will not. But I gotta say, like, him doing the accent, and he seemed committed to the bit. And that's the thing I really gotta say. You know, the more I listen to, like, you know, Keeping It 100 and Stevie Richards and Ben Hameen and listening to these different people in the business, sometimes when something I see is like shitty, I kind of start to appreciate over the years because, like, look, Moss, look at this guy. He comes out. Why was he even covered up in the first place? We all saw this when he had like won the 24/7 championship a few years ago, if anyone remembers, when he was Riddick Moss. We all know this guy was jacked as shit. And the guy has like a spectacular physique. I think it's probably one of the best on the current roster. I mean, the guy is just in magnificent shape. Guy is cut. He's huge. He looks good. He looks like a star. I mean, this guy should not be with this current gimmick, but he's been stuck with this gimmick. He's supposed to be a laughing, cackling lunatic, and annoying. And, he's having fun with it as much as he possibly can. And you could see it in this segment. There's lame, like, haggis references, and he's, cutting jokes in the character. And I gotta say, I like that how they kind of played off the fact, like, this is obviously Moss. And he starts laughing. Like, he goes, ha ha. He goes, it's me, Madcap Moss. And I'm like, that I started laughing because that was pretty funny. The way he did it, the delivery, it was actually good. If they could have him do like stupid shit like this and not just it be focused on him cutting jokes and it being that basic, and they have a little bit more fun, like him finding other ways to do stupid humor, I could maybe accept this character. I mean, so they wrestle against the Viking Raiders. Moss seemed like they were giving him the spotlight here over Corbin, which, I'm all for it because I thought at day one, this guy looked really good in the ring against Drew. Like, believable. Like, I knew he'd lose against him, but I was like, all right, this guy looks pretty good in the ring with him. Two big guys, two believable guys. And, if they didn't, like, give him this stupid character, I believe a guy like Moss could actually beat a guy like McIntyre, or at least hang with him. I mean, because he's a big guy. Anyway, this was the opening segment to the show. We had Lesnar and Roman. And, this right here, it was entertaining. I don't really like where this is going, where we've got like Heyman being the jealous ex boyfriend or girlfriend. He goes, don't talk, he surprises Lesnar by saying, like, don't talk to Roman that way. And Lesnar saying, to shut up. And then Roman tells Lesnar not to talk to Heyman that way. And he keeps telling Heyman to shut up. On Raw, I was starting to say, like, oh, God, we're going back to my name, Paul Heyman. And like, oh, my God, we're back to this shit again when Rock has proven he could cut a good promo and be entertaining and be funny and branch out and do all sorts of stuff that they were really starting to hone in on his character towards the end of his run in WWE, back during the Ruthless Aggression era. So he had proven himself. I don't know why they decided to always strap him with Heyman, but now it looks like, once again, they're questioning it. I don't think they really know where to go with this. I mean, it's intriguing. It kind of makes me want to see where it's going. But, like, this Heyman thing, like, I don't know. It is a little lame. Don't talk to him that way. It's like, I didn't laugh at it. I was just like, okay, well, this is just a little, like, kind of weird in a way. Like, Heyman always looked like Roman, like he loved him and everything, but it was more kind of like an admiration thing. But Heyman always has to cartoon it up to the umpteenth degree. So I think that, like, they could have maybe made this be a bit more realistic, like he's his manager and he's not really sure if he wants to abandon Reigns because he still has that loyalty. But they had to make it like it was like a relationship. And I guess that adds a humorous factor to it. But I'm not sure that should be it. Like, I'm all for, guys, like, always sticking in, like, humor. That's, that's Stone Cold and The Rock, my favorite wrestlers of all time. These guys prided themselves on not only being taken seriously, but always getting the humor in there without it being silly and stupid. Why can't we have a level of humor, but, like, I feel like it really shouldn't be here. Like, this is the moment where it should be a little bit more serious and to the point. But, hey, that's what you get with Paul Heyman in this current era of Paul Heyman and WWE. So, as he's distracted, Roman rears back, hits the Superman punch on Brock. Heyman is shocked and everything. This is at the beginning of the show, and Brock is not, like, fuming, looking for Roman backstage. No, it's a one and done. I mean, it's seriously, how is that at the beginning of the show? And Brock, how is he's good till next week? Yeah, I'll take care of it next week. No biggie. Got punched in the face. My manager that I just accepted back is betraying me. Like, that just, it's not enough. It has to be a bit more than that. It's not, we're done. And plus, we're already on to the next story. We see Pierce talking about, we got to have an opponent for Reigns. He goes into Reigns and says that he has a match. He has an opponent for Roman at the Rumble for his title. He says he's not interested. He's beating everybody. A knock at the door comes after the main event with the Usos and the New Day for the umpteenth time. And who's at the door? Oh, it's a Raw wrestler. It's Seth Rollins. And this is, like, the most random opponent. I don't know. Like, I get it. Things were upset because of what happened with Roman getting COVID. But, like, why is there a draft? Why is there a brand extension in place? Why do we have this if all of a sudden this shows that they have no one on SmackDown to oppose Roman Reigns? There's no one here that can be taken seriously as a main eventer. I mean, really, like, name one person that they could have put in that spot. They waited so long with Drew McIntyre that the guy is really injured at this point. And now God knows when he's going to be back. And, and when he's going to come back, he's going to probably wrestle Baron Corbin. They're probably going to pick right where they left off. And I'm like, how is it that we have to get someone from another brand, bring them over when they've already got, like, things going on over Raw? I mean, obviously it's no biggie. It's not like there's any big storylines going on over there that are worth a damn. But, like, we're going to bring him over to SmackDown to feud with Reigns, and I'm sure he'll be on Raw. And here it's just like he knocks on the door, and Seth starts immediately laughing, and he laughs to close out the show, which is humorous, which I did find a bit funny. But It's not really the most stimulating way to lead into like your big world title feud that came out of nowhere. I mean, like usual, there needed to be more, just like with Roman and Brock, but there wasn't. Like, it's just here at the tail end of the show, and I'm sorry that's not a cliffhanger. We've seen Reigns versus Rollins. I mean, I get it, not with these specific characters, and we did tease it many months ago last year, but most people have forgotten about it. So there's not really anything here to get excited about, but here's your Rumble match. I mean, okay. Uh, yeah, I mean, the show, from what I saw, it was okay. You know, there could have been so much more to it with Roman and Brock. You know, Brock is a champion, Roman's a champion, and you had this whole questionable actions of Paul Heyman and what he's saying, and you know, and then he causes Brock to get laid out by Roman. Like, you should have had a furious beast Brock Lesnar just on the loose, and you just didn't get that. So there you go, guys. Let me know what you thought down in the comments down below. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Click the bells to get all notifications when I post all my new videos. Want to thank all my patrons for your continued support. Thanks again, guys. I will see you next time.